everyone, and welcome to Crunching Your Growth. I'm Phil Masiello, entrepreneur, brand builder, and founder of Crunch Growth Revenue Acceleration Agency. We've been helping brands scale profitably for over 12 years. Now, before we jump in, I've read a few comments and I just want to give a little background. There's a lot of so-called coaches, marketing experts out there who've never actually built anything themselves. They're reading from somebody else's playbook, not their own. And that's not me, and that's not what this show is about. I've built and scaled 3 successful startup brands. I've exited companies. I've lived the grind of launching, scaling, pivoting, and winning. And today my team and I help brands grow every single day across e-commerce, retail, emerging digital platforms. So we don't just teach theory, we write the books on it. So when you listen to this show, you're not just getting advice from me and other entrepreneurs, you're getting real world experience, lessons learned in the trenches, wins, losses that shape the playbook we use to help brands thrive. So if you're serious about scaling, about doing what it takes to build something that lasts, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. This week, our guest is Hersh Rephun. I'm sorry, Hersh Rephun. He's a brand strategist. He's a stand-up comic, a screenwriter, and the man behind Holistic Brand Therapy. He's helped shape the image of startups, Oscar-nominated creatives, billion-dollar brands alike by blending humor, humanity, and truth. And in this insightful conversation, he's going to share about how telling your truth with heart and a little wit can transform your brand, your business, and your life. And if you've ever wondered how to merge personal growth with brand growth, this episode's for you. So if you're looking to accelerate your growth, you won't want to miss this conversation. So let's bring him in and let's start the conversation. I'm sorry I butchered your name.
Oh, Phil, there is. I wonder sometimes if there's a right way to say it. It's Rephun, which is not even
Rephun.
Rephun. But I want to tell you something. My writing partner when I was doing screenplays, John Burns, always has pronounced my last name Repburn, and I have never corrected him. So I'm not going to correct you. So you have something. Great minds think alike. So you came up with it with a good one, and I think that you did perfectly well.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you saving me the embarrassment. So yeah, why don't you bring us through your past, your history, how you got to where you were, what you were doing, and how you came to this conclusion about branding and truth and comedy, which, by the way, I agree with because nobody ever remembers the dull commercials. They always remember the commercials that are funny.
That's right. And an interesting point about that. I talk about this in the book in Selling the Truth, my book. That you look at insurance companies and they all do comedy.
Right.
Progressive and Liberty Mutual and all that. They're all farmers. They're all famous
Geico,
for
yeah.
comedy commercials, and yet they're selling the most important thing: trust, protecting your most valuable assets, all of that stuff. And they get that people are put at ease by humor. So that's definitely been a through line in my life. I started out in stand up comedy when I
Oh,
was
did
in
you?
yeah when I was in New York in the 90s. And even before I started working in advertising, I was doing stand up comedy. And a film teacher of mine, George McGinnis at School of Visual Arts, said to me, "Why don't you take a course in advertising? Not even in copywriting, just in producing." He said you could sell a line on a piece of paper. Just just take it, explore it. And I did, and I got a job in advertising. But the job, true to form for me, was off the beaten path. It was representing directors of TV commercials and working so closely with talent, with filmmakers.
Yeah.
I naturally gravitated toward, the promo part, writing their bios, pitching stories to magazines like Ad Age and Adweek. And there were no publicists, independent publicists representing those people. There were just people that were kind of doing it at the production company or wherever. But I was like, this is my calling. This is my thing. I love artists. I love movies. I love writing, and I just love championing other creative people. And so I did that for many years. But as I was maturing as an advertising and branding person, I was around it so much. I decided, well, I would love to get involved and work with brands. And one of my best friends, Isaac Fadlon, is an indie retailer in LA, and he owns Sporty LA, which at the time had 5 or 6 stores in Los Angeles, and they were like the hippest, coolest stores. Everybody would show up there and buy their sneakers, and it was right across from Fairfax High, so you had all the high school kids coming to buy their kicks there. And brands would come to him for advice and say, "Well, what's going to sell this season? What's going to be hot?"
Right.
Would call me and say, "Come, listen, they're flying us down to Florida. Come to the big meeting, and we'll give our thoughts on brand and on sneakers." And I learned the sneaker business from doing that, going to the trade shows in Vegas,
Right.
3 times a year. Started this cottage industry, this little boutique agency called Propeller Five, and we made up this story that there was a fifth propeller, the fifth propeller that would take your brand to new heights, and that was the strategy and the creative, something like that. But it worked. It worked well, and we did really well for many many years. And during COVID, I we both had a chance to kind of step back and see what we wanted to do. Did we want to go back out on the road? We had just gone on the road signing new business, and I think we came back from our business trip March 3rd, 2020, and then and he actually went to another conference, and he came back just really sick. Oh, I don't know what this. I got this sick. I'm like, "Oh, I think we know what you got." And fortunately, he was okay. But we decided we really didn't want to go back on the road and sign more clients. I wanted to work closer with people. I
Yeah.
wanted to work with personal brands. I felt during COVID I was getting isolated. I was living here in Iowa, where my wife's from. It was we felt in a way like we were a little bit sheltered from COVID. We were very careful here, but it was not a hot spot at the time at all. And I started podcasting myself, and I had a podcast at first called Truth Tastes Funny, which I still have, which is just about surviving, thriving in a chaotic world. And I was meeting people from every walk of life, from every career. And I couldn't help but, when we were off the air, go, "Oh, that's really cool. Have you thought, here's a name for your book. Here's a title for something. Well, why don't you do an ad like this? Why don't you do something?" And it just evolved organically into what I call holistic brand therapy, which is really just about, like you said it perfectly, Phil, personal development and personal brand building really go hand in hand, especially when it's your life. It could be a small business, doesn't have to have your name, but it's still like you're inextricably linked to it.
Yeah.
And the question was, how do they establish themselves as thought leaders, as go-to experts in their industry? Now we have LinkedIn and all the different platforms, Substack, everywhere where they can apply their voice. So it fell to me to say, well, this is the right platform maybe for your message. How about we inject a little humor, like you
Yeah.
like you mentioned? um, Humor is a tricky one, as you know. You when you go on stage to kill, you're like, you could be pretty merciless about yourself, about the audience. You can just go nuts, but it's a different kind of humor in the
Yeah.
world of brand, but it does break the ice.
Yeah. No question. There's when you think about some of the greatest breakthroughs, um, in terms of what you remember about a brand that broke through the clutter and did something. It generally was something that was very funny. Dollar Shave Club was a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
Very, uh, very good humor, broke through the clutter. People shared that, 11 million views in 2 days. It drove sales. We did something when we had a razor business. But people love humor. You look at Dr. Squatch commercials, people love those. They're always memorable. And they don't, Squatty Potty and all those other commercials, they made them funny. The Harmon brothers, that's their whole shtick, is doing funny, funny commercials. And when we do them, I'm not a comedian by any stretch of the imagination, although I look funny. I I We do a lot of connected TV, and we do scripting for them, and then we give it to somebody else to do the actual video shooting. But we go and get comedy writers that are, you can find them on, Upwork or wherever, and they punch up the scripts, and they usually come up with some pretty witty things. And we always use that because what I find, people are serious in their everyday life. They're tired of
Yeah.
being serious all day. So they don't want you to sit there with seriousness. The insurance company, it's a very serious business, but at the same time, I don't want to do business. Everybody remembers the Geico.
The cavemen
Yeah,
or the yeah.
yeah. And so, it's a way to break the ice, but it's also a way to get your message to be memorable. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's the balancing act is really that the joke is simply not on the audience.
right,
The joke is on us or whoever didn't use the product.
right.
So whoever didn't use the product, they ended up getting screwed. Everybody else who uses the product is protected and safe, and it's a wonderful dynamic. And they all do it in such creative ways. And as I always stress, pair it with the truth. You know, don't BS somebody and then expect to have a beer with them, so to speak.
Sure,
They have to learn through repetition. And the way I do it is now not really through commercials, although video is still a very strong form, writing still a very strong form, but it's much more, I think, targeted now to the consumer that is going to patronize that business. And I think speaking their language is as important as getting the joke right or getting the tone right.
yeah, absolutely. We do a lot of short form video work for social, for advertising, for brands, and it is you have to be authentic with. You have to really understand your customer, and you have to really be authentic with them, because they can sniff out BS today, and
Yeah.
they don't want the same old, same old. They don't want it to seem like you're this major brand with no face to it. Uh, there's a couple of guys that do it, I think, really well, that have built brands that are the face of their brand, and they use humor, and they're very funny. There's a coffee brand out there, Hello Coffee.
Oh yeah.
Craig, I think he does a phenomenal job. It's not his first rodeo. He did a tooth a mouth brand before that, toothpaste and things like that. So, you have to be the face of your brand, because people today under 45, they want to know who they're buying product from and what that brand stands for. And do they speak my language? Are they talking to me, or are they just talking to anybody?
And one of the things that is kind of encouraging is that it isn't, it doesn't discriminate against people with experience. It may be tough. There's a lot of ageism in the job market, but the
Sure,
fact is that people like you and me who've been around the block and have some experience can earn the trust and respect of a younger audience.
sure,
I find the feedback I'm getting from young people is that other young people have to work a little harder because those young people relate to the idea of everybody having a camera, everybody having followers on Instagram. It's an amazing world out there, but there are young people that are super savvy as business people, as entrepreneurs, and young people that are super savvy as consumers, and what they care about is what you said. They care about the legit, the truth, what's real, and they can also get bored very easily, and that's just a reality. Doesn't mean that we have to be superficial. It means we have to get to the point.
Sure. Absolutely. I actually just wrote another book. It's getting ready to launch, and it's called The Why Behind the Buy and how to connect with your customers before you sell to them. Because what I find is everybody goes straight in for the kill. They go straight in for the buy my product, and it just doesn't work. Uh, we have clients who just want to run. They think that we're just going to run some ads and say, buy the product. Here's a discount code, and that just doesn't work anymore. You've got to build a connection with people. You've got to tell them what you're all about. You've got to make a connection. You've got to explain the brand. You've got to get across the why. Why should I buy your product? So many options out there. Why should I buy your product? Just because you're telling me, okay, I have a better such and such, and here's a $5 coupon, $5 off coupon. I mean, it just doesn't work anymore.
No, that said, we should bundle our books. We should bundle our books. That said, buy my book.
Yeah.
Buy this book. The one that I love more than anything is when people these some of these kind of, I wouldn't even call them disreputable because they are what they are. But they'll say, I was trying to do this thing, and then I realized the answer was this, and the answer is in this book. And if you buy this book, you'll get the answer. You know, and my book is much more about the experiences that I've had that have taught me so much about the truth. I think
Right.
I even named it Selling the Truth because I wanted to keep myself accountable.
Right.
I wanted to be like, I'm the Selling the Truth guy. I
Right.
can't I can't I can't be taken by the siren song, as I call it, the siren song of BS. It's we're all susceptible to it. We lie to ourselves. We do. We do. You know, there's a chapter called "There A Lie Is a Wish Your Heart Makes."
Yeah.
We want things so badly to be true that we're willing to deceive ourselves in order to get it. So I think once we realize that we're actually this is a real relationship. We're building a real relationship with the consumer, with the whether they're buying a book or they're buying a course or they're buying a shaver or they're buying a product.
Yeah.
You know, the value is in the quality of the communication and the relationship.
Yeah.
And if it holds up, Jerry Seinfeld made a really funny comment. He was hosting an Ad Week event, and he said, "I love advertising. I don't do really Jerry
Yeah.
Seinfeld. Do really thing out." He goes, "I love advertising not for the product, but for the 5 minutes between the time you buy it and the time you get it home and it doesn't work, where you really believe that it's real,
Yeah.
that it's good as it seems. That's the best feeling in the world." And it was like the people in the audience were a little bit, put off by it. But the fact is, it is a great feeling. Now, if we can deliver and keep that relationship going, I mean, how amazing is that?
No, 100% right. I mean, you read it. I mean, today we've got so many mechanisms to disseminate fact from fiction. Reviews on Amazon, reviews on products, reviews off, online, where people are talking about a product because it's going to tell you whether you have a problem, whether you've delivered on that promise. I made the promise. I sent the product. I've got 100 reviews. 50 people are saying I didn't deliver on that promise. And so many clients, so many brands out there look to people like us and say, well, can you, get rid of those reviews? Like, well, why would you want to get rid of them? They're telling you have a problem. Why don't you fix the problem?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to hide the problem, fix the problem, make a better whatever you're making.
I get a tremendous amount of confidence building when I'm looking at a product and I see them address something. And it's not just addressing it with some kind of, um, some kind of textbook thing like cookie cutter thing. They
Right.
really try to make it right. And then I'm like, okay, so if something goes wrong, they're going to make it right. They care.
Sure.
Nobody's perfect. And also we don't know whether that somebody may complain about something, just they have a axe to grind, they didn't like it.
Sure.
We have to kind of discern by reading those reviews both sides, not just the side that says this is good or it's bad you know
Oh, 100%. I think consumers are savvy enough to weed through the bad reviews that say things like, "Oh, I received it, but the box was broken. I received it late. I received it this." You're giving me a 1-star review because the post office didn't do their job or UPS or whatever. Okay, that's not saying that the product itself is bad. It's the ones that say, product didn't deliver, the product didn't shave, the product didn't turn on, the product. When you see a pattern of problems, and we've had clients where we've shown them, you've got a pattern of problems here, and instead of trying to say, hey, is there a way for you to get rid of these reviews? How about if you look at it and say, how can I fix this?
Yeah. We had a client once that that wanted us to take over their customer service. And we were like, that's not, now you're losing, now you're missing the point. The point is not that you have to be eloquent in your response, it's that you actually have to fix it.
Right.
You know, because me going in there and giving them a really clever, goes back to humor. Give them a, it is great to use humor, but don't use humor to minimize their problem. Use humor to maximize their trust in you.
Sure.
What do you think about AI in today's world, where people are so they don't trust, they trust less. Let's put it that way. We can talk to people not face to face, but like in a DM, and we can be sitting here and you're sitting there, and one of us doesn't think the other person's real. You know?
We there are things that AI is great at, and we use them. Uh, and there are other things that I think, if you want to be a credible customer service based business, and offer great service, then I think you have to use AI sparingly. To sit there and have AI, an AI chat box, as your only source of getting through to service on something, I don't care what it is, you're going to wind up with a problem because it's too frustrating, because you can't, I don't care how bad, how popular or how great you make natural language. It just, you're not going to be able to answer all the questions. And so
Yeah,
there has to be a point where you can turn it over to somebody, and a real person. And so, and we've had personal experiences with it, with software that we use, or with products that we use, where it's just, you wind up in this endless loop of AI messaging, and you're going, oh my god, please stop, just get me to a person, get me to a human. And then
yeah,
they do, but they'll get back to you within 24 hours, and I find that to be just unacceptable. We have enough ways to give customer service, to say, okay, hang on, somebody's going to be with you in, with a little timer, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, right? And that's fine. Uh, but I think AI is being used in too many ways to eliminate costs when it shouldn't,
yeah.
because I think brands are going to get hurt by using it too much.
And they can be big brands and give you great customer service. Like I had a mobile provider once where I had, being a parent, I had a bunch of phones on my account, and I'm having
Jealous.
this and that. And the guy who took the call at one point was like, "Look, from now on, anytime you have a problem, just call this number. This is my direct line." And I was no more important customer than anybody else,
Right.
but he was like, I just want you to get what you need, so just call directly. And that was amazing,
Yeah.
that concept. And that was maybe 5 years ago, not so long ago.
Yeah.
You know, to get a real person.
Yeah. I think it's great when you can do that. I think everybody can do it. There's no reason why. I mean, we've got call centers all over the world that you could route a call to. You can take it. You could start the conversation with AI and narrow down what the problem is. Is it a problem with my account? Is it a problem with a product? Is it a problem with, what's the problem? And then get it to the right person, and then have that person respond. But when you respond back and say, somebody will leave your email address, somebody will respond to you within 24 hours, to me is just, it's terrible service, and sometimes they don't even respond for a couple of days. We use a product to after we do these shows, we break it apart into snippets, and then we put it out on social media and advertising and things like that. And we use a product that we pay for that service, and they've got an AI chat box, and you put your information in and you tell it what the problem is, and then it says, yeah, somebody will get back to you. And then you look and they've got like 3, 4 pictures of people up there, but they don't get back to you for almost 2 days. And then they tell you, oh, sorry about the delay. Here's an extra, 50 credits. I don't care about the credits. I figured out the problem myself 2 days ago. So now I
Yeah.
don't even need you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the same time, I use AI a lot. I love it.
Oh, so
I
do I.
feel
Yeah.
it's a great utility. I even think it's a great sounding board. But I do find that, you know, in my own experience, and this is just me, I don't think it's yet reached that level where it really understands humor. I
Ah.
think it can be funny. It can kind of be funny. It can be clever. I just posted a review, what I considered a review of my book. It wrote something about my book. I gave it my book, to read so that I can get quotes from it easily and all this stuff. First, it gave me quotes that were not in the book, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I didn't write that." And they said, "Well, you said quotes, so we gave you quotes." It's like to blame the prompter. The prompter. I'm like, that no, dude, just from now on, just only when I ask for quotes from my book, you have the book in your memory. Update the memory and do the thing. But it gave me what is essentially a synopsis, but it read like a really beautiful quote. So I posted it on LinkedIn and I said, look who reviewed my book, and it's this great quote, and then Chat GPT, because it is fun to use, but I just haven't found it to be as funny as a person.
No, no, no. We haven't used it for that. We use it. I think it's great for ideation. I think it's great to get you started. I think when it comes to generative AI, I think using it for content gets us about 60% of the way there, and then you got to bring it home with humans. We never use it for humor. Um, we do it a lot for ideas. Where we use AI the most, where it's the most effective for us is we run a lot of ads and over a lot of platforms. And so pulling all the data in, or if we get a new client who's been running ads for 6 or 7 years, and we can pull all that data in from what they've done in the past. And we've got some great AI tools that'll analyze that data and spit out sort of a path to success, you know, with how to structure ads properly. I think that's phenomenal. And then some of the AI tools out there, I just read this whole thing today. I forget what it's called now, but Google with their ad platform is going to develop has developed and is going to roll out this AI mechanism that's going to be able to really hone in your ads into more of like semantic search. What people are thinking about buying. Because when you think about it, right? Google knows who you are. Amazon knows who you are. Amazon knows everything about you, right? So they know what you bought in the past. They know what you like. They know who you are, right? And so, for them to start doing, which they just rolled out their version of it, where you're doing essentially semantic search, based on not based on keywords anymore, but based on your prior searches and based on what they think you're thinking about.
Yeah,
So it's going to be interesting. I think in those ways it can be a great tool.
yeah,
So
yeah. It can be.
yeah, but we use it in a lot of different ways. But I understand exactly what you're saying, and I think that there are a lot of people out there doing things with AI that probably shouldn't be being done, and touting it as greatest thing. I'll tell you. I'll give you a perfect one. Guy hits us up this morning because he's got a great AI tool that's going to take books and put them onto Audible using voice generated AI. And I said I don't believe in it. I said people don't like it. It doesn't have any emotion. It doesn't have any feeling. So if I write a book and I put it on. I want to turn it into an audio book. Then AI is just going to read it. It's not going to read it correctly. It's not going to read it with any kind of emphasis. It's not going to read anything. So I said, no, I don't think that that's going to be a good use of AI. But
Yeah.
people are going to do it, and you're going to see it out there, and people are going to say, they're going to reject it, because if I want to listen to a book, I either want the author to read it, or I want somebody who's actually going to read it and understands how to emphasize different words and different parts.
Well, you hit on something that resonates for me, which is the unexpected. What we when we read something that's been AI generated, we do kind of tune out a little bit. There's a part
Sure.
of our brain that sees the mechanism at work. Now they can evolve it and so forth. But let's say I'm doing my audiobook and I'm really excited to go in and record it. Now, I'm not going to obviously change anything. I'm going to
No.
read what's in the book, but the emphasis that I put on something may strike me in the moment. I'm not going to rehearse the book either. So, I'm going to read the book and I'm going to read the words as I wrote them, but I'm going to, you know, interpret it
Sure.
in some way. And it's the same way with acting. It's the same way with responding to people, communicating with people. I look at it this way: why would we farm out like the greatest joy that we have, which is human interaction? You
Yeah.
know, and I think LinkedIn took this. They had a feature where you could record videos onto your DMs. You can do audio, but I don't know what happened. But I used to do that routinely. Just communicate via video message when you don't know the person that well, because then they know for sure that it's you.
Right.
You Now that may change as well, right? Then they think this is me, and I have so many interviews to do, Phil, that this may be the only one I do for real, and then I'm recording five others. My AI is recording five other interviews, but I guarantee you this would be the best one, the best interview.
No, I agree with you. There's certain things that the one thing that I find deeply disturbing, and it drives me up a wall, and I always comment on it, is the amount of AI images that people start using when they make posts, whether it's on LinkedIn or social media. And you say, guy, a person put up a post the other day and was talking about a good subject. And but he put up this image that AI created. Now the problem with it is AI, when you make those AI images, they can't AI cannot put the correct words on the image. It always comes out looking like garbly and
Right?
or a foreign language,
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said his name. I said, you can't do this, man. You take 5 minutes and make it in Canva, because this is just, you can't read it. It's unreadable. You can get the idea from AI
Yeah.
how the image should look, but you got to make it, because look at it. I can't read it. Oh, people are going to know that. People are going to know. People are going to understand it. I said, okay. Don't take my word for it. And nobody made comments about his post. He probably got 25 comments all about the image, all about how
Yeah.
terrible the image was. And I'm thinking, did you learn anything from that? Or you're just going to do it again over and over again? And people just keep doing it. Another guy put some silly image up. I said, this doesn't even make sense. The image doesn't make sense. It doesn't relate to your story. Well, like, take 5 minutes, man. Use Canva. It's not that difficult.
Yeah. If I can use Canva, they can.
Exactly.
And I don't use it every day anymore, but I use we use it a lot, and I love it, and it is one of the most kind of user friendly things that you can do. That's what we should be taking advantage of. It actually can be a very creative enterprise. All
Yeah.
of this stuff. There are tools for everything now. There's so many tools that we can use, but I think my message to people is always circle back to who you are, because ultimately that's all you have to sell is your own truth about who you are. It's what makes you different.
Yeah.
It's what makes you different. if you love ice skating, but you manufacture microphones, but you love ice skating, people should know about your ice skating. It should somehow make its way into your content. Whatever it is, it sets you apart.
Yeah.
It may not be the most profound thing, but it is something that they'll remember. The thing that people will remember about you is the most real thing you can share.
Absolutely. 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 And I don't think people are, everybody is trying to use AI to create an image of themselves. In my opinion, they started taking a picture of themselves, and then they use an AI platform to turn it into all these different looks and of what you look like. But you say that's not what you look like. I hate to tell you, but it's obviously it's not even a good it's not even a good photoshopped image. It just looks so fake. It's standing there in front of a, you
Yeah,
know,
it shouldn't be supposed to look like a show I was on. The guy did an amazing job. I love the picture. Eh, we don't have perspective on ourselves.
right.
That's kind of the realities. But my kids were like, "Oh man, that's a really good like artificial image of you. It's not supposed to be real, but it's kind of like got this very cool vibe." And I'm like, I really like it.
Yeah.
It's not me. It's not pretending to be me. It's an interpretation of me.
Well, that's different. But I'm talking about people that are using it to be them.
Oh
They're,
yeah, yeah,
they're using it for their LinkedIn image, and they're using it
yeah,
for social media. And you say that's not you. But
yeah,
yeah, I could talk about this all for days. There was a guy. I will. One of my faults in life is that I will get on the phone or on a call with someone who has a compelling story about a product that they might have, like if they have a new product, new process, whatever. And I got on. This guy is selling me. He's, oh, I'm going to blow you away with what we can do with AI and how you can use this, etc. He said I took the liberty. He was using he took a whole bunch of my content and put it into Google Notebook, and then he wrote a script in Chat 4.5, and then took that and then turned it into a script and made this video. And he's like, "Isn't this fantastic?" And the output was this 1 minute video. It was supposed to be a synopsis of me, and it was horrible. It was terrible. And I looked
yeah,
at it and I said, you know, I liked everything up until the output. The output's horrible. It just looks so fake. It sounds fake. The voiceover is fake. The whole thing is just fake. It's inauthentic. That's not me. So I could take the script and I could make the video now. So I get that, right? So to me, you took all this information, you put it in Notebook, which was great, and then you wrote a script in ChatGPT that was great, and then here's the script. Okay, why do I have to have ChatGPT, or why do I have to have this other platform make the video? I could just make the video with this. So I'll
yeah,
do that. It's like,
yeah,
oh no, but you don't have time to make all these videos. Well, I'll make time if that's what I want to do. If I want to make videos, I'll make videos.
yeah. Overuse, over reliance. I mean, these are the things that we have to think about. I I think that there's an opportunity. We only get one opportunity to really make an impact in the world. Let's go, broader, more broadly speaking. This is the life we have. And
Right.
so, and we hear, and of course, I'm concerned about younger generations and social media and the kinds of, and this isn't an AI question. This is just a real thing. The stuff that people see on Instagram, uh, conveying a life that isn't real,
Right.
and we're as susceptible as young people are because
Oh,
we
sure.
we can, we can end up scrolling through social media and see our colleagues or see one another put ourselves out. I was victim to it at one point. I was like, I had the reverse issue during COVID. I was making these funny videos and posting them on Instagram just to keep my sanity. I called the channel three X Daily Comedy, 3 times daily comedy, because I thought we needed a little bit of humor at least 3 times a day to survive.
Yeah.
Precursor to my Truth Tastes Funny podcast. And I would walk around my neighborhood, walk my dogs. It was not very exciting, but it was the opposite of what is a lot of the stuff we see.
Yeah.
Glamorized, hyper glam. Now, some people have very glamorous lives, and that's kind of cool to follow. But the airplanes and the Maseratis and all that stuff, that's a hard image
Yeah.
to sustain, and I don't know what it really does for anybody.
No, it's the same thing with the guys that are selling services. I was a multi-million dollar Amazon seller, and I learned the secret. So now I'm gonna
Yeah,
teach it to you. And I always respond the same way. If I've been a multi-million dollar seller on Amazon, and I don't give away my secrets. I
right.
why would I want to create competition? Why would I want to tell people how to do what I learned how to do with sweat? I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
And that's how, and they're always in front of like the Maseratis and in front of this, big houses. And it turns out that they were just walking by and took a picture. It's not
yeah,
really their house. I
yeah.
had this guy, this was the epitome of stupidity to me. I had this guy, 28 years old, wants to come on the show, telling me that he started 7 businesses from the time he was a kid until now, scaled and sold 7 businesses. So I quick Google him, and I get nothing, nothing. So I said, if you Googled me, you could find you could absolutely find everything I say. You can find an article about it or something about it to show that it actually happened. So I
Right.
can't find anything on you. So explain to me, and he couldn't explain his businesses. I said, so you're just trying to go on a bunch of podcasts and a bunch of TV shows and things like that to say that you did this and hope that after you get on 10 or 15, people actually believe you did that. And then
Yeah.
you're going to what? Sell coaching services? I mean, come on. That's
Yeah.
just,
And and it's not like just random. That's a way of like operating.
yeah,
A way of operating, the fake it till you make it thing. The idea that, it's gonna be validated by being on shows and telling the story. And unfortunately it does work in that people will be taken in by that. And you
to a
know,
certain extent.
yeah, they might be. I mean, I'm not talking about all people or whatever it is. It's funny. I could imagine that kid saying, I created and sold 7 businesses all without Google."
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, somehow it's not, Google didn't get a
No,
hold of that
no, nobody
information.
knew about it. I kept it
Nobody,
secret.
nobody knew about it. Yeah,
Kept
the
it secret.
secret, the
Yeah.
secret.
No, I do, fake it till you make it. I think that people do it and to a certain extent, but then you see it blows up eventually. I mean, you look at Elizabeth Holmes
Yeah,
and that whole piece, and the other one, Charlie Javis, who had the got sued by J.P. Morgan, and now she's going to go to prison
yeah,
because she created this. Platform that you could apply for student loans, and she had someone create 100,000 emails pretending that they were all on her, users on her platform. And then, of course, JP Morgan buys the company for, I don't know, not a lot of money, but like 12 million or 15 million or something like that, enough money. And then they go to send out an email to all these people and they find out that these emails are all fake. And then they wind up
oh, yeah,
suing her, and she goes to prison. She got convicted. She hasn't gone to prison yet, but so there's fake it till you make it, and then there's outright fraud.
yeah.
So I think I mean, look, I've started businesses and I've made some comments about things that weren't actually real, but I was still in business and we were still doing things. But I may have stretched the truth a little bit, but you
Well,
know,
that's where humor can be useful. Like, it doesn't always, irony for whatever reason doesn't always work, like sarcasm or whatever doesn't always translate when you're sending emails or posting. People can't hear you being
right,
funny, but if you can really be funny about something, and maybe that, to circle back to the thing with insurance ads, maybe there's something to the idea of, I've already told you the joke.
right,
Now everything else is real, which makes sense. You go up on stage, we were talking about this before, where you go up on stage and do a one liner. You know, go up on stage, and that first thing that you do in comedy. I used to do a lot of voices and characters, and I would go up and do the character, and then I would go into my own persona. And a friend of mine, Rich Aronovich, very funny comedian, said to me, "Don't do that because no one will ever trust you." If
Oh,
you go up on stage and you pretend to be somebody you're not, even as a joke, and then you switch into yourself, they'll never trust you again because they don't know you. So if they don't know you, why are they going to trust you when you're yourself? They'll think it's just another lie or another deceit. And I thought that was really profound because I was like, yeah, you know what? The first thing out of your mouth, can be a joke, but it should be you telling the joke, and the closer that joke is, or the more it reveals about you, the more trust you're building.
yeah.
There's something to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love comedy. I wish I could have been a stand-up comic because I love it. I think it's
Why could you not?
oh, I don't think I'm a good funny storyteller. I don't see. I find that people that are comedians, they see humor in what they do. I I just don't have that. You know, I just don't have that.
You don't see it from necessarily the funniest point of view, but then why would you want to do it?
No, I see it from the funniest point of view.
Okay.
I can't express it the way
Oh, you
that a
don't.
comedian can. You know,
Yeah,
I Seinfeld has his way of doing it, so I don't think I could have been a successful comedian. No,
I hear you.
I have
Well,
no problem getting up on stage and making and making mistakes or talking to a bunch of people. I have no problem with that, but
yeah,
I just don't think that I would have been a successful comedian with it.
I think I had to transition from speaking as a comedian, like doing a set and doing a talk, because that was hard. And I was invited to do both once, and um, I did the show the night before, and not everybody saw the show. Obviously, I did a like a paid show for them, and then the next day I was doing my talk, and my talk was around what I talk about, telling the truth and all this stuff. And when they introduced me, the person who introduced me had been there. And so the person who introduced me was like, "I saw this guy last night. He's hysterically funny. You're gonna love his sense of humor. He's got a joke for everything, ladies and gentlemen. Hersh Rephun." And then I was, and then I did my
Yeah,
PowerPoint and
yeah,
my thing, and people were like, "He's not that funny."
yeah.
It wasn't that funny. So I learned my lesson. I was like, okay, if I'm going to be funny, I got to be funny from the get go. I got to be funny. I'm not doing that anymore. Those are
Yeah,
two different jobs. And
yeah,
that was one of the things that led me to stop doing stand up comedy, not because I didn't enjoy it or it wasn't funny, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to be this person now. I'm going to be an author, be a personal brand builder. I don't really need to do stand up or tell jokes to be appreciated. And I think that's why we do that stuff. We want the love of the audience, the
sure,
approval of the audience. The people I want approval of now are the entrepreneurs and the consultants and coaches and the people I help and the people that can be helped by my knowledge.
sure.
And and the humor is a piece, a tool, a device, but it's not the end game.
So, how do people get in touch with you if they want to use you, get involved with you? How do they get in touch
Yeah.
with you?
Thank you. Yeah, they can go to yesbrandbuilders.com, and everything's there. They can contact me about my services. They can find the link to buy my book. Find my masterminds. So everything's there. They can even find a little comedy clip or two. It's kind of buried there. I won't tell them where to go, but like if they specifically want it, they can find some of my stand up.
That's great. And the book's available on Amazon as well.
It's actually not. I'm not doing it through Amazon. I'm doing it through Barnes and Noble. It's at barnesandnoble.com. And then also because I have this a love of indie booksellers and a love of just the independent spirit of booksellers. There's a very famous bookstore called Prairie Lights here in Iowa City,
Oh,
um, that has been around for a long, long time, and my book is on there as well. I don't know if they've put it on. I was just in there today. You can get it by going in there in downtown Iowa City, of course, and I hope all my friends in Iowa City will get the book there. But it'll soon be at prairielights.com as
Oh,
well.
cool.
So if you want to support independent booksellers, same price wherever you buy it, but prairielights.com will have it as well.
That's great. Yeah, we'll put all that. We'll put the links in the description of the show for anybody who wants to click on them. And
Thank you.
yeah, so it's my pleasure. And we're out of time, unfortunately, but I appreciate you coming on. And that's it for this episode of Crunching Your Growth. If you got value from this, share it with your fellow founders, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media. Go to E360 TV. We've got more scaling stories coming your way. And as always, I'm Phil Masiello. This has been Hersh. How do I say it? Rephun. Rephun.
Repoon. Repoon.
Rephun.
Repoon. But I'm used to Repburn. We can always use Repburn if we need to.
I,
But
I
thank you, Phil. This has been a blast.
All right. Thank you. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on.